When I was young, my grandmother took me to her Unitarian church. I was relatively closed off at the time to notions of God or religion, but this church was unique, offering a perennial approach to theosophy which was, at the very least, interesting. There, in a youth group, I learned how to meditate and came to find a world within myself as large and complex as the world without. My first crack at the doors of perception. As above, so below. As below, so above. If you are metaphysically minded, or just witchy, you have certainly heard this axiom before. In a few words, one of the fundamental truths of the universe is laid bare, that all things are connected, and the study of our reality is a measure of magnitude as the size of the lens changes to observe at different scales. The atom beneath the microscope, the star above the telescope. Again and again, the same patterns recur, allowing the world of rational science to make reliable predictions based on previously observed and mirrored phenomena. Dr. Adrian Bejan refers to this phenomenon in nature as the constructional law. Bodies of water splintering into rivulets, the blood vessels pushing blood through the body of a mammal, the discharge of lightning dispersing in an instant in the very same patterns. We can break this down and say that it is a feature of evolution, biological, natural, the inevitable state of energy pushing through a body, stone, flesh, or atmosphere. But if we step back from a purely mathematical perspective, we are witnessing the shape of God. This is the nature of our universe, made plain to see, and when we look to something new, perhaps a vein of stars or the movement of dark energy, we can make reasonable assumptions based on what we already know. The scope of our study grows, the complexity of our tools elaborate, but the observations and lessons remain much the same. We are intimately connected to every phenomenon of the natural world. Born from the same divine spark, we only feign blindness that we might see ourselves with a child's eyes. In 1924, Danish physicist Niels Bohr presented what he called the Principle of Correspondence. Needless to say, there is no connection between Bohr and the New Thought movement. The nomenclature is either a coincidence or a synchronicity, depending on your perspective, but invariably relevant to the subject at hand. Bohr's principle observed the fact that predictions made in quantum physics would always reflect those of classical physics when quantum numbers were large. Once more, as above, so below. The principle will be observed over and over again, regardless of the field of study. The truth recurs in spiritual philosophy time and time again, from the Corpus Hermeticum to Arcana Celestia to the Kybalion. For this reason, its magical connotation expands beyond any worldview or arcane text. Like the lightning or flow of blood in your veins, it is a feature of our reality, hardwired into our minds and hearts, an archetype of philosophical understanding. So, in practice, what does this mean? What aspect of the phrase, as above, so below, connects our hearts to the divine? Well, to answer this, to seek answers to the questions of our reality, one must look within. In the walls of the meditative mind, symbols and archetypes arrive. When we quiet the forces of the outside world, our consciousness explores a shared space, the same space which Jung explored in the 1930s. There are secrets within the self, phenomena the average person has no time for or interest in. We meet our shadows, repressed memories, past lives, energy centers, higher selves, spirit guides, and, most notably, the inescapable well of infinity, which presents a limitless space within, in defiance of our rapidly decaying bodies. So what might this say about the world without? How does the dark mirror within reflect the void of infinite space? Is the heart of man the same as the heart of God? Are our compulsions, longing for love, compassion, and togetherness splintered rivulets of God's longing to know itself? And what of the shadow, the hate, the fear, the feeling of falling in rapture of the mind? This is our infinite task, to understand oneself that we might understand the world. But here, in the exploration of our hearts, the tools remain the same. Reflection, meditation, a willingness to change and incorporate new perspectives. And when we know peace in our hearts, perhaps the world without shall know it as well. May the work never end. Just as a knowledge of the principles of geometry enables man to measure distant suns and their movements while seated in his observatory, so a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. Studying the monad, he understands the archangel.
Hey, thank you for watching that, and I appreciate you taking the time to do so. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you disliked it, you can hit the dislike button. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. If you want to see more content like that, more stuff from me, I'm going to keep on making it. I want to say thank you to all my patrons. You guys are amazing. Really appreciate having you behind me. If you're interested, patreon.com/American Dragon. I post a lot of music, I post artwork, things like that. And there is a tier where I send postcards in the mail every month to my patrons. And I always write a little personal note of gratitude just to let you know that I appreciate you. This is the second in what is going to be a 7-part series on the principles of Hermeticism from the Kybalion. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. I'm excited to bring some of this weird information to you. All right, so that's about it. Thanks for sticking around to the end. See ya.